You're listening to The Paul Higgins Show, where ambitious tech consultants come to unlock their potential. After 18 years as a global leader, I launched several businesses, culminating in a successful exit. I'm sharing what I learned, plus what's working now from mentoring tech consultants. You will hear leaders within our industry to help you build a business you love that allows you to do what you want. If you are looking for immediate cash flow wins to fuel your growth, go to our free ebook at paulhigginsmentoring.com/roadmap. You are struggling to let go. You're working 60 hours a week and you are trying to balance all of those balls or juggle all of those balls in your tech consulting business. Hi, I'm Paul Higgins and welcome to episode 552 of the Paul Higgins Show. In today's podcast, we talked to Geraldine Gray from Indium about how she works 2 days a week and has a brilliant supportive team of 40 people helping her. Geraldine Gray is the founder and CEO of Indium, a well-established and trusted scale and profit Salesforce Acceleration partner. Whatever your funding status, the goal is to transform your organization's growth and profit potential. Geraldine is a 13 times Salesforce MVP and now a member of the Salesforce Hall of Fame. She's originally a Brit, but has lived in Houston now for 20 years. And this is definitely not her first rodeo. And she shares all of her secrets in today's podcast. So like to see Geraldine on video, please go to the Paul Higgins Mentoring YouTube channel. And now I'll hand you over to Geraldine Gray from indium.com. Great to have you here, Geraldine.
Hey there, Paul. Nice to see you.
Yeah, look, thanks for admitting that you do listen to the podcast. So it's great to have you as a listener. But more importantly today, it's great to have you on to share your wealth of experience over the 12 years with Indium. So what we'll do is kick off with who your ideal client is, or clients, I should say, maybe plural, and also what problems you solve for them. So over to you.
So our ideal client is somebody that already has Salesforce or they're about to buy it, and they're looking for a solid, trusted technical implementation partner. Somebody who's curious about technology and open to new ideas, and an organization that's looking for long-term growth with the platform. Our customers tend to be within manufacturing, heavy equipment, dealerships, and energy and utilities. And then we have a handful of customers that are from financial services. They tend to be VCs who are referred to us or know us in real life. And I would say that all of our customers trust us to do the right thing. And so they're typically very transparent. So if you don't like working with people who are direct and transparent, we're probably not the right partner.
Okay, great. And what are some of the problems that they face? You know, if you look at, say, the manufacturing, for example, what are some of the problems that you're solving for them there?
There's a lot of CPQ, full end-to-end digital transformation. They may be on an old platform that's going away. They might be on a platform that only one or two other people are using at all, so it's completely custom to them. And they're thinking, well, the person that built this is retiring. How am I going to keep our pricing up to date? You know, all of our data is mismatched. Or they might be thinking, well, this was great when we built it 15 years ago, but it doesn't scale. It's not mobile. It's not easy to find or easy to retrieve data, easy to report on. And then oftentimes there's a lot of communication breakdowns between different departments. So a lot of people will be touching the same task or the same piece of equipment or the same job. And that makes it very complicated rather than a single streamlined place to put their information. It's the people that have complex business processes that are looking for an organization that can help them. And Salesforce happens to be the technology that we use.
Right. And you talked about end-to-end. Is there any clouds that you don't cover or touch?
So all of our customers will have Salesforce, and they may have it integrated to AWS. They might be using middleware. We're middleware agnostic. A lot of our customers have those AS400 green screens. You know, when you go into the paint shop and you order the paint and it prints it out, zip, 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 zip. So a lot of our customers have those, and those AS400s are absolute workhorses, and that's where they do all their invoicing out of. They're all going to have something pretty squirrely, especially within the industries that we work in. If we're very lucky, we'll get a complete green field. That's pretty unusual.
Yeah, look, I must admit I'm old enough to remember those green screens, and we thought we were going to be sold by moving to SAP, but that's a whole different story.
No, not really.
Yes. The sources of leads. So where do you get most of these clients from?
Most of our customers are referrals. We have a handful of customers that we're working with Salesforce. And we've been through the Impact Accelerate program. I can talk about that a bit more later. But most of our customers come to us because they've heard word of mouth. Oftentimes it's a CIO, CFO, CEO that we've worked with at one company. They've gone to another company. They take us with them. We also typically get left behind. So, very trusted. I'll get a lead for Endium will literally be one of my former C-suite people texting me on a Tuesday afternoon. That's no lie. That's where, or somebody pinging me on LinkedIn. But then, to be fair, we have a brilliant marketing engine, and we do a lot of shows and a lot of trade shows. And when we go to the trade shows, we go where other Salesforce partners are not. So we'll go to a renewable energy trade show. We'll be the only Salesforce people there, and our customers will be speaking. So it works really well for both of us.
And in that, are you, if you've got a booth, are you just there as a participant? Like how does that normally look when you're at those shows?
Sometimes we're just participants, but typically several times a year, we'll have a booth.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to get a small booth on the end near the bar.
Yes.
Always a good spot. And if we get that small booth on the end near the bar, when they're having happy hour, this is a true story what we did last year, and we realized that all the guys, and it was a lot of guys, it's energy, were standing around drinking beers, and their beers, they didn't have any koozies. So we ran around and we gave every guy, every participant a Endium koozie. We're like, oh, you look like you need one of these. You look like. So when you turned around, there was our guerrilla marketing. They all got the Endium koozies. They had no clue what we did, I'm sure, but they all got the Endium koozies. So we really feel that sharing the brand and being with the industry is what gets us work.
Right. And as you said, it's where often Salesforce partners aren't. Are Salesforce helping with any marketing funds for those events, or are they all funded yourself?
All funded by us. So we have a fractional CMO.
Yes.
And we have a full-time account director. And so we make a plan at the beginning of the year of what events we think we're going to go to. And some of them will be events where we're speaking. Some of them will be events where we are hosting. Some of them will be events where we're doing a booth duty. So for example, we're quite involved in the Clean Tech Leaders Roundtable, and that focuses on renewable energies. And so we'll host an event with those guys, and there'll be a huge turnout of exactly our target market. And it will be a dinner for maybe 30 to 50 people in a really nice restaurant, but we'll be the only Salesforce people there.
Right. And why did you choose the industries that you're in?
They chose us. So yeah, they chose us. We've been working with Caterpillar dealers and manufacturers for 9 years now. We've worked with multiple dealerships across the country. We've been working in old school energy, so oil and gas,
yes.
since we were created. And then some of our oil and gas customers have gone to renewable energy companies, and they've taken us with them.
Yes.
And then they've even gone to another renewable energy company and taken us with them again. And so it's just kind of the path where we've gone to. There's not a ton of partners in, they call it E&U, so energy and utilities. There's not a ton of partners in there. And so it's a good focus for us. And the same with manufacturing. There's quite a lot of female-led managers here at Endium. We really stand out when we're talking to the guys, in the boots and in their trucks and that kind of stuff. So we definitely stick in their memory. We're the ones you can't forget.
Brilliant. And was that a geography thing based in Texas, the sort of oil and gas, or was there other reasons?
Absolutely. We're in Houston, which is, one of the energy capitals of the world.
Yes. Yeah, fantastic. So you've been doing this for 12 years. Take us back to those early days. You were starting the company, you were probably doing all the sales yourself. What were there any activities different to what you've just described today that you were doing back then?
Oh, I was doing all the everythings, so writing the SOWs, reviewing the contracts with a lawyer, anything that pushed out into marketing, blessing that. We had a marketing agency that we still work with, actually, that does all our videos and websites and stuff. I was the one for the first few years. I've always worked with contractors, always understood some people call it onshore, offshore, but we call it local and remote, because our offshore team is really not offshore, because they actually come here to America sometimes. Yes. And so working with a local and remote model, understanding your numbers as to how you can make that work well, because there's only one of you. We're in the business of humans.
Yes.
So how can you take one human and make them 4 times a human? Well, you can do that if you know how to work with a remote team.
And why that strategy? Because I know some people embrace it. I certainly I ran an outsourcing company, and to me, being a part of the Coke global system, that was just the way I spent 18 years. That's the way it worked, right? You harness talent from all over the world. But some people are like, no, it's got to be, particularly more the US, I think, than some other parts. Is no, if it's not here, it's it's not going to happen. What was the driver for you to have the combination of both?
So we work with the same folks in India that we've been working with for about 10 years. They are on the calls with customers. And so back in the day, when I was the one doing the demos and running the projects, we would meet at 7 a.m, have a stand up, do an internal demo. Then we'd meet with a customer at 8, do the demo to the customer. And the remote team would be on the call doing the demo. So I might be the voiceover, but they would be driving it. So the customers got to talk to the remote people. There's not this sort of magic box of like people under the table pushing buttons. These are real humans. And then we'd have another call at 9 where we do an internal demo. And then we'd have another call with a customer at 10. And then we'd probably have another one at about 11 where we kind of wrap up and then get our work set for the rest of the day. And then the remote team would log off sort of 11:15, because by then it's 9 o'clock for them. And then we'd all get together the next morning and start all over again.
Right. And the team in India, did you, physically go to India to meet them, or was it all done from the US?
It's all been remote, but we're very lucky that they have often come to us. So
Right.
if we have a go live for a customer, then we'll bring that team over. It's absolutely fantastic. And there's nothing like having, your CPQ technical architect meet your customer. There's mostly female engineers as well. And so it's a great opportunity for them to experience something, completely different. They're very Americanized in lots of ways, but there's still part of the culture where, somebody's mom will say, are you sure you should be doing this? And they'll be like, yes, mom, I'm going with Geraldine. And they're like, okay, I'm going with Geraldine. Because I will be on calls with them, and I will have seen their families on the Zoom, and seen their mom and their dad and their dog and their sisters. And, we've all been together for a long time. So there's a lot of trust, a lot of history.
But so that initial, because I know when I set up my team in the Philippines, I thought it was really important to go over there and understand the culture, etc. But have you ever been to India yourself? Like, did you, the outset? No, never been there.
No, planned to go once, and then there was a coup. So
right.
I was like, let's see that. Yeah, no. And then the team comes over here. So, I feel like there's a good experience for them to come. They get a lot more out of coming here than I would being one person going there.
Yeah,
I'm sure I'd have a great time, but I think it's a
Yeah.
really good experience for them to come here and meet customers. And it builds a huge layer of trust. When the customer is on the call with Lakshmi or Sayali or Punit or Vinay or Vinod, they feel like they're part of the team.
Yes.
Like I say, it's not a magic box where the work goes. It's like they're the people that are really doing the work. So they're also getting the credit for it.
Yeah, great. And I believe you've got another region that you also have a team, remote
Yes.
team in.
Yep. So in about the last year or so, we started working with the team in the Ukraine.
Okay.
And they came to us recommended by folks who had worked with them before that really loved them.
Mhm.
And so we brought them on board.
Okay.
And it's nicer to have somebody more near shore. But at the same time, it's all about, working with great people that do really good work and, super high quality work as well.
Yeah. And what are some of the cultural differences you've experienced between India and the Ukraine?
Well, between India and the US, if you don't get a direct yes, it's a no.
Yeah. Yes.
Absolute must get a yes, otherwise it's a no. With our folks in the Ukraine, there has definitely been a couple of times where it's like, oh, the bomb raid siren has gone off. And they've had to go hunker down in the basement. Well, you certainly don't get that in Houston, Texas, that's for sure.
No. And look, we've had a couple of partners on that are, their teams are predominantly based in the Ukraine. And you're listening to this in 2024, and it's unfortunately still going on. And anyway, I won't get political here, but let's hope it stops soon. There are other regions in the world where, we're doing the wrong thing rather than solving our biggest issue, which is around the climate and what the planet's going to look like. We're still fighting over small components of it. But anyway, I'll skip that. You said back, you were, working full time, you're doing everything. You mentioned that you've got now a virtual CMO that helps with the marketing. Have you got anyone else that you tap into from a fractional basis to help support you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a fractional CMO who works with us about a day and a half a week. And she joins us in real life about twice a year. And then we have a fractional CFO who works about half a day a week. We're big enough that we need more than a bookkeeper to keep the numbers straight. We actually need strategic financial advice. And we have a great banker. I think it's really important to have a good relationship with your banker as well. So we have a really, really good banker. And between the banker, our lawyer, our fractional CFO, they keep us all in really good order. It makes it easy to onboard a customer when you have those three folks all just working together.
Right. And what are you've talked about events, et cetera, which have been very successful for you. What other marketing activities have worked for you?
Podcasts.
Mm-hmm. Is that
Linked.
you being on podcasts or you having a podcast?
Me being on podcasts. Yeah, I just don't have I just don't think I could commit to running a podcast. So, and I don't know that I'd find enough to say, or that I'd say too much. I'm very good at telling stories. I think that, what's really worked for us is people like to see our faces.
Mm-hmm.
And so LinkedIn is quite a good source for building the brand, but there is no secret sauce for how you get net new customers.
Yeah.
There's no secret sauce for it. You've just got to grind it out, make sure that you are the obvious choice, and work it every day. It's the only way you can do it. Our account director is very good at creating and curating a list of who we should target at different shows. And so we will have their photos and we'll have their bios and we'll go around and meet those folks with a key topic to talk about.
Yes.
And a way to introduce ourselves. I just did it at Connections in Chicago and it worked brilliantly. So we got invited to an event that we weren't invited to, hooked up with the head of events organizing for Connections, who's an old friend, who then introduced us to some other folks. And, next thing you know, you're in a room with people like Polly Sumner, yes, who's one of the EVPs at Salesforce. You don't get that every day.
Yeah. And I think that the key to success that's sort of behind the scenes here is that you have picked a specific niche or two in this case and really focus on that, because I still think the most successful partners I've had on the show are ones that have dedicated themselves to a particular niche or niche. And then they've really worked that hard. So there's no silver bullet other than don't be all things to all people, right? And I think you are a fantastic example of that. You've got 13 Salesforce MVPs, I think now. Is that?
We've got, so I've been a Salesforce MVP 13 times, and then I was lucky and I was retired. But yeah, we have other Salesforce MVPs that have worked here. Especially old school ones, so super technical, been around for a long time. Between the delivery directors and the VP of delivery and myself, there's 100 years of Salesforce right there. A lot of projects under our belt. Yeah,
and I know you're in the Hall of Fame as well, but that means, you've got the technical chops, which you've got to have, right? So you got to have that component of it. But I think that the marketing using the fractional, I think is really smart, and picking those niches, I think has, led to a lot of success over the 12 years. I think the other thing that's really interesting to me is, your gradual stepping back from the business, if that's a nice way of saying it. You self-confessed before we went to air that you used to work lots and lots of hours and, sort of the kids to bed and then work before and after that. But I think now you're working 2 days a week. So I'd love to hear a little bit about the journey of how you did start to pull yourself away from the business, what you're doing today based on, 2 hours, 2 days, I should say, not 2 hours. That's Tim Ferriss would say 2 hours, but I meant 2 days.
I work 2.5 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then other time as needed. I'm super focused when I'm in the office, try to be super focused when I'm in the office, and focus on the things that are important that I need to get done. The reason I work less than full-time now is that in November 2022, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Well, actually, I found a lump. Part of my routine mammogram. Wasn't especially worried about it because I was like, well, I just had one of these 6 months ago, can't be anything. Turned out actually it was something quite big. And I was in the doctor's office about 10 days later, got the results of the biopsy and it was positive. I was then a few days later on site with a customer pitching the biggest project we'd ever done, thinking I was just going to have surgery and then radiation. And then after I'd had surgery in January, and I'm quite efficient, so the surgeon said, would you like to have your surgery on the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 9th of January? I was like, 3rd. Moved very quickly from surgery and then to booking radiation. And then what happened is that I turned out that the kind of cancer I had needed chemotherapy. So that forced me to be out of business.
Yes.
Told the team, called the customers, told the customers this is what's on, this is what's happening. All of the customers were like, don't worry about it, we'll take care of things. We had just closed one of the biggest deals we'd ever worked on. So that really meant that we had enough work for the whole year laid out. So then the team just did a brilliant job of running the work, getting new customers, delivering the work, making the customers happy. I did a couple of things. So every now and then I'd like pop in and do something when I would have the okay from the doctors. But for the most part, I was completely out of the business until about September. So I spent the whole summer with the children and my husband, did some family trips, and then I came back 2 days a week. And I'm still doing some treatments around recovering and recuperating, because, you know, it's one thing to get the no sign of active disease, which I got about a month ago in May.
Fantastic.
But it's, yeah, thank you. But it's totally different to actually try to start feeling like another human.
Yes, yes.
Trying to make yourself feel better and
Yes.
be better is hard. And so for me, if I go to Connections, for example, or I go to a trade show, you know, I can do that trade show and I can be full on for 3 or 4 days, but then I'm completely exhausted the following week. 2 days a week, I can get a lot done in 2 days.
We all pass on our regards to you, and I'm glad that you have got that news a month ago. That's brilliant. But I think sometimes, you know, we don't want the positive constraint to be our health. But I know from my personal experience, when it is, it does change the way that you work, and it changes the way that you do things. And in the 2 days that you do work at the moment, you know, take us through sort of your daily routines. What do you do within those 2 days? What are sort of your daily habits?
So I've always been fairly organized, and now it depends on the day. So Tuesday or Thursday, I have a slightly different rhythm and routine to how I get my work done. But since I had breast cancer in 23 and I was out for almost a whole year, I'm really focused. So when I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm not, I'm working with myself, my family, my friends, health, fitness, you know, 2 entirely different universes, which, well, it's only taken me a whole lifetime to get there, but finally figured it out. I would say, Paul, on a personal level, I started using this tool called bullet journaling. And some people do extreme bullet journaling, but for me, it's super simple and it's been transformative. And I think this is why I'm able to work less hours, because I'm super focused. So when I have a bullet in my notebooks get smaller and smaller. This is tiny. This is what, 5 inches, something like that. It's like really dinky. I used to have, like, you know, the big giant A4s that get smaller and smaller every year. But basically my work will have either a dollar,
Yes.
a clock, or a smiley face.
Yeah.
So if it's got a dollar, that's revenue for the business. So either it's sales, it's invoicing, it's chasing up AR. If it's got a clock, that's something that's urgent that I need to get done. And if it's got a smiley face, then that's something that's going to make somebody else happy.
Yes.
So if it's not the dollar, the clock, or the smiley face, then I probably shouldn't be doing that task and somebody else should.
Yes.
I really trust the team to just kind of ask them to do something. And I don't follow up on it. I'm just like, can you please take care of XYZ? You know, so GoDaddy renewals came up and it came to my email and I'm like, okay, can somebody else just take care of this? This is really an accounting or marketing thing. This isn't a Geraldine thing. Yep. So super focused on making sure I'm doing the urgent rather than the non-urgent.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. And you've probably heard this, or you as a listener has probably heard me, and you listening to Geraldine, just a reminder, it's episode 552, Geraldine Gray from Endium. Often the owner is the biggest barrier to growth, right? So we are the biggest barriers to growth. I know I was that when I ran my business, and I've seen it, you know, coming in, stepping in and mentoring others. That's the case. And you're right. Like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Right. And I think that's a brilliant way of prioritizing the most important things you do. And what I used to always say to my team now and when in the past was, if I'm doing something that you could do, please push me away. Right. Like, you've only got one thing that I want you to do for me. And is when I'm doing something that you can do as well. And it actually doesn't have to be as well. It could be 75% as well. Push me out of your zone. Right. And I remember once that I had a leader that was brilliant at sales. I was the sales director, and he decided that he would spend time in my area because that was his expertise. So what I did is I found an area, i.e. delivery, where that was preventing us from sales, and put him in that area and said, you know, that's what you need to fix. And then I didn't see him for 12 months and I enjoyed my job. You know, so for you, if you're reporting to the leader of your business, make sure that you're pushing them into their zone because they can do things only they can do, right? And if us as leaders, we don't have that choice. Like, we're the only people that can do certain things. You set the strategy for the business, you appoint the team, you do lots of things within those 2 days a week that only you can do. Anyway, I will get off my soapbox here. And
No, I completely agree with you. I mean, so I do my daily work, but then also once a week I focus on cash on hand, accounts receivable, invoicing, and invoices. I meet with our VP of delivery once a week, but we actually will chat or Slack or text or call or send each other stupid memes on Instagram almost every day, including weekends. We have an ops meeting once a week for 30 minutes, and super helpful to just kind of get all those things out of the way. And so if I have something for ops, I'll actually save it for the agenda and we'll talk about it then. The three of us will be together, and okay, that's how we make our decisions. I meet with sales once a week and try to meet with sales and marketing once a week. So it's super focused, but it's also quite fun. I'm trying to say, okay, what do I need to do for you? If it's small, I'll do it right now. If it's bigger, I'll put it on my agenda for one day next week. Twice a week, I focus on pipeline. If there's anything I could tell another partner, you have got to know your numbers. You've got to know what's booked, billed, paid, and any legal work that's stopping you from getting a next deal. Assist with the salespeople when you're needed, but don't do their job, because trust me, they can do their job better than you can do their job.
Yes.
So come in for what I sort of jokingly refer to as shaking hands and kissing babies. I love my job. I love to meet new customers. I get super excited about helping them solve problems, but it's not my job to write SOWs. Yeah? And it's not my job to proofread them either. If somebody sends me an SOW, I'm like, did somebody else proofread it? No, okay, well, get somebody else proofread it, and then I'll look at it. Otherwise, I want to completely edit it, make it Geraldineized.
Oh, well, I was just going to ask you, is like, prior the diagnosis of cancer, was that always your framework or your frame of mind, or has it changed since the diagnosis and that 12 months of Geraldine being someone different?
I think I was much more interfering.
Mm.
So now I'm much more, it's okay, they don't need me, they can do it. I've always known our numbers. I can tell down to the day how many days of cash on hand we have.
Yes.
I can tell what our AR is and who it is, and if it's overdue, if it's something I need to chase, or if it's something the sales director needs to chase, actually. We have a bookkeeper and we have our fractional CFO, but I can still balance our books to 99%. Yes. I know if there's money missing and I'll go find it. I will. If you know your business inside and out and you have great people, you can trust them to run it.
Yeah. And I think, there's always a silver lining in every moment. And I think for you, what you've experienced is that letting go, and we'd never want you to go through the experience you had, but there is a silver lining. And I think that was the same for me, right? I had to work on dialysis for 4 days a week for 5 hours. And I even wrote a book on dialysis, but what that meant is I had to have a brilliant team that supported me, right? Because I couldn't do everything that I had to do. And yes, I was conditioned because of my corporate background to do that, but that certainly helped. And you really look at what's most important. I think, that's, you got to find your positive constraint in life. So whether, I say to people, it's taking time out of the business, take 6 weeks off, 8 weeks off, and that positive constraint will change, not just you, but it will change your team and let them shine, right? There's so much value that's already sitting there in your team that often us as owners, we block that. We're often, sadly, the shadow over the sunlight, and just get out of the way and let that sunlight go. But Geraldine, I think it's fantastic. It's a great testament to you. You got a team of 40 people. You got a very successful business in a niche that you love, in a business that you love. It's really good to hear that your health is improving. And we could talk for a lot longer, but what we're going to do now is just briefly thank our sponsors, and then we're going to come back and do the rapid fire. Imagine stepping into a sales call and your potential client already knows and understands your expertise and is eager to engage with you. It sounds like a dream scenario. But with the right tool, it's entirely achievable. Introducing Tella.tv, Tella, your ultimate solution for personalized pre-sales videos. Tella TV empowers you to craft impactful video messages that resonate with your potential clients before you connect with them. One of the standout features of Tella is its seamless editing capabilities and automatic captioning, saving you time and ensuring your message is clear and accessible to all viewers. Ready to revolutionize your pre-sales process? Tella.tv today by visiting our resource page at paulhigginsmentoring.com/resources and clicking on Tella. Elevate your sales game with Tella, because your success starts before the call even begins. So great to have you back. And we're going to do the rapid fire where I'll ask you 4 questions, get rapid responses. Now, I know we've covered the daily habits, but is there anything in particular that you wanted to mention that you do for NDM that we haven't covered?
No, I think the most important thing is empower your people so that they can take charge of the processes and remove yourself so you're not a bottleneck.
Yeah, brilliant. The next one is, where do you go to learn more about how to grow and scale NDM?
I really enjoy podcasts. I also really enjoy the Harvard Business Review. It's aimed at a much bigger, broader audience, but they have a lot of information about innovation, technology, people management, project management. You can get some really good case studies out of HBR.
Brilliant. And if we could grant you one wish for NDM, what would that be?
Can I have 2?
You can.
Okay, so I think if you put myself and Star Jacobs, who's our account director, in front of a business, somebody who fits our ideal customer profile, we can close the deal. But getting in front of customers is the hardest part. So that'd be wish number 1.
Yes.
Wish number 2 would be for other people to find a way to see if they can participate in the Salesforce Impact Accelerate program. Yes. It's been a game changer for us. It's a 12-week program. It's organized by Salesforce. It's to encourage small businesses or underrepresented businesses to thrive within the ecosystem. And during the program, you're going to get access to people, access to tools, access to even a marketing agency who will write stuff for you in the Salesforce way, and new growth opportunities. They're not going to call you up with a whole bunch of leads. It's not how it works. Yes. But they will give you what you need to grow and to be successful. And if you participate, so Star and I participated, and Amy, our CMO, participated, we were super active. We did everything they said we should do. And it has really helped to supercharge the business, revitalize what we're doing, make people more excited. It's brought some innovation, so we're doing a lot more integrations with Slack and such like, and it's really bringing like the next generation or the next level of work for our customers and for our consultants so that we can do good work. And so if I could have a wish, I would say, I wish that other people could participate in the Salesforce Impact Accelerate program and get what we got out of it, because it's been brilliant.
Fantastic. And what you know now after 12 years of running NDM, what would you wish you had have known earlier?
Would have taken a lot more time off in the summer months when it's slow, and not necessarily taken my laptop with me when I did take time off. Hand the reins over to the team, who are well trusted, so that I could focus on the children and my husband, and my family, my friends. I love my job, but I also love my life.
Yes. Yeah. Brilliant way to finish it. So thanks for coming on and sharing your journey openly today. Well done for inspiring others to do the same. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much for inviting me and for hosting me. This has been super fun.
Thank you. What a brilliant interview with Geraldine. What a fantastic person. The challenges she faced with cancer and how she's pulled through, and just the way that she's run a team on 2 days a week is amazing. So big shout out to you, Geraldine, for sharing your journey today, and not just your health journey, but how you built NDM. Also, I love the bullet journaling, and after the podcast she actually showed, and she's literally got about 4 bullets on each page for her day. Quite incredible the way that she prioritizes and organizes and focuses on the most important things. And also the Impact Accelerate, we'll try to get someone from that on the show, but please check that out if you're a Salesforce partner. Reach out to Geraldine on LinkedIn and thank her and ask her questions. As you can see, she's willing to share, which is fantastic. Also, if you know peers that could benefit, please share it with them. And also watch Geraldine on the YouTube channel, Paul Higgins Mentoring, and subscribe to get more videos from there. And I'll see you next time on the Paul Higgins Show. Time for action. Let me know what you implemented from the show. I promise to respond. Plus, get the Tech Consultants Roadmap at paulhigginsmentoring.com/roadmap.